yesterday, there was a report from Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, that college football executives are considering 4 changes to shorten games in college football. First of all, before we get into that, is there a need, in your guys' opinion, to shorten games?
Yes.
You feel yes?
Okay. Oh, my God,
I want to see from a coach's perspective.
The first thing to discuss on this is
that
every rule change in the last 30 years has been to help the offense.
Well, we'll get into that.
So no, this transfers over. Don't say we'll get into it later. It's directly what's going on right now, because these rules are going to help defenses.
The question is
games need to be shortened?
Do the games need to be shortened?
What I'm saying is the rules are going to help the defense.
Okay.
That's why it's a big deal.
Shorter.
To make the game shorter. I believe they do. I believe there's 2 things. I think Nick Saban said it first, and whoever someone said it, that was that the game's not meant to be played consecutively, which means it's not like basketball. It's not free flowing. And so when all of a sudden you're spotting the ball with so fast within 9 seconds, that's not how the game was built to be played. And where all of a sudden, like, you're going to snap the ball every 9 seconds, every 11 seconds.
Oh, it's
and
not
all of a
supposed
sudden,
to be played like
that. No. And the officials, it's their job to speed the game up, to get more plays, to get more reps in.
So what are you saying? Are you for this or against?
What's that? I'm for it. Yeah, because I'm a defensive guy. Offensive guys will not be for this.
So here's the changes are being. There's 4 different changes being discussed, not done, but discussed in college football. The big ones off the bat are potential change is no stoppage of the clock after a first down is attained. So like the NFL, when first downs happen in the NFL, the clock keeps running. In college, it stops until you snap the ball. Right. Another change would be no stoppage of the clock after an incomplete pass. Now, that one blows my mind.
That's a big one.
That one blows my mind. I don't get that.
That's the big one. That's the controversy. Now, wait a second. There's 2 others.
Okay.
Stay on track here.
The 2 others are, but potentially to prohibit 2 straight timeouts, so no icing of the kicker back to back.
Good rule. That
like
sucks late in the game when they do that. It just talk about interrupting flow. Do not let that happen anymore.
And then no longer extending the first or third quarters if the final play is a penalty.
Completely unnecessary. Minor. Completely unnecessary to do that.
So those ones are kind of minor compared to the first 2 of, hey, the first down, no stoppage, but mainly no stopping of the clock on an incomplete pass, which I don't understand that at all. I don't get that.
Bill will help you with that.
No,
does that make any sense to anybody?
First of all, to go back here at that, I appreciate Jake just trying to get better like that, because he's a no football guy. You're out of control for no football. You're all over the place, and you need to step back and be in your spot here.
No, you need to step.
Time out.
He had to explain the changes. You talk about them like everybody knew.
So first thing out is that there's a slight discrepancy on what Jake said, is that when you get a first down, the clock does not stop until you snap the ball again. The clock stops until the chains are set.
Okay.
So there's a difference
slight
there.
Discrepancy there.
But
they do pause. They do stop.
They do pause. So that's a big thing. What it helps you is late in the game, it gives you a chance to spike the ball without any clock going off, because the clock would stop. You can get up there by the time you get set and spike the ball. If you watch in games that are a little bit out of hand or out of control, that it's been settled. It's 40, 42, 19, and it's late in the game, whatever. And the head has the ball right there. You'll see they wind it really fast. First down, boom, stop the clock, wind it. They go really fast.
Get this thing over with.
Let's get this thing going. And I think that's from top down. I think that rule is one that would be especially from a defensive perspective. Yes, you'd like to have the clock keep going. I would not be a fan at all, even on a defensive guy, of the clock to keep running during incomplete pass after an incomplete pass.
Because
like I said, the first thing is going to be some mechanic stuff of where the ball's at and where the ball's got to come back in from to be able to do it. That ball could have sailed out of bounds, and now it comes off the sideline from one of the managers, and just some different things.
Clock keeps running. So clock keeps running.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden now you can't. Now there is no more. So what are you gonna do late in the game when you can scramble out and you can
2 minutes, but inside 2 minutes it stops.
Is that what it is? Did
it say that in the article?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I did not get that information.
But still, even if that's the case, inside 2 minutes, I mean, there's stuff. You're trying to come back sometime with 5 minutes to go in the game, and you're saying incomplete passes, the clock does not stop. That's wild.
Per Dellinger, the clock will continue to run after an offense gains a first down.
Yep. Right.
Except for inside the final 2 minutes of the half.
Okay. Still.
Okay. Now, the average, going back to the length of the game, average length of a game is 3 hours and 21 minutes. That's what it was in 2022.
How short do you want it to be? 3 hours?
3 hours is good. Yeah. I mean, 321, I think it's excessive. And that's the average. There's games lasting 345. That's just too long. I forget what happened in the first quarter because it happened like a day ago. I mean, speed them up. You need to speed these games up.
I would say
I'm a huge advocate for that.
Okay, selfishly, though, if you're looking at a TV perspective here for all this, the games are the main slots are 3.5 hours apart from each other. So 3 hours, 21 minutes. Okay, you've got 11 a.m. kickoff. The next big set's 2:30. So you're talking about ending it right before 2:30 kickoff there. Then 2:30 to 6 is another big
that
slot.
Makes sense. I mean, it's okay.
So you're given another half-hour buffer for pregame shows and everything. So you need that much?
Reset.
No, you're not doing buffers for pregame.
I'm just saying, almost TV.
Almost. That's what I'm saying. After every game, when you're the next show up, the number of times people walk in and say, "Hey, we're pushed back." You'll be in the locker room. Hey, we're pushed back 7 minutes.
Okay.
All the time you're pushed back. Hey, we're. That's why you always like the 11 o'clock games. It kicks off at 11:01. No pushback.
See, you don't want that. That has to drive you crazy when they come in and say that.
Then you look most games. If you watch, sometimes if you on your TV, you'll go to click through, and sometimes it'll say that the game that's playing down below when it says what should be playing, they don't match up because the game has run over.
Yeah.
So you'll see that all the time. That should be done to the 3.5. I'd say most games, just a typical Ohio State, Michigan game, something like that. I guarantee you they're on the air for a solid 3:45 to 4 hours.
Exactly. It's a day-long commitment to watch. Now there's another big part of this. This is another big part, and this is more for offensive coaches than Bill, the defensive coach. Now, this is in a lot of college games, you're running 180 plays combined from the teams, right? 180. Some teams are going to be running 80 to 90 plays. Correct. With the current rules. The new rules, which are more like the NFL, cuts down plays considerably. In fact, it probably cut it down into 155 range. I like that because I think you'll get better football because you can't waste plays. Frost talked about that. No expense to Scott, but Scott said at UCF, we were running Frost was saying we were running 90 plays. You could run some bad plays and it wouldn't matter because you just get a bunch more. You knew they were coming. He said in the Big Ten it changed because we don't run as many plays. So you better be efficient. Right. You better be efficient. I just think you get better football this way.
It'll also probably
you don't get a lot of crap plays.
Could also translate into the expansion of playoffs, which means you're going to have way more games, way more total plays during a season and the tread on them. So if you go to playoffs and the playoffs go longer at that, then all of a sudden, if you're operating in that 60-something offense, defense, playing 60-some snaps compared to the other part,
80 to 90
snaps, and then that's a big difference.
Reduces tread.
At the end of the season, you'll have played a game or two less.
Yes,
than a game or two more. There's just the numbers of how they would play out.
Yeah, in the American Athletic Conference, when those high flying teams are running 90, that's like tacking on 2 games at the end of the season or a game. Chris.
Yeah, let's get a phone call. The Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. Chris at the Baldwin Shop. You're on an early break. Go ahead, Chris.
Good morning, Steve, Coach, and hope you guys had a good holiday, although I know you weren't because I was listening to you yesterday.
Oh, thank you for calling. What do you have some thoughts on these rule changes?
Yeah, Steve, Jake, Coach, first of all, to show you how outdated I am, Coach, when you talked about your daughter getting pinned, my first thought was, oh my God, Coach Bill had a daughter at the state wrestling meet this weekend.
I felt the same way.
That's right.
That shows you I'm on planet Pluto when it comes to that stuff.
We've always felt that, Chris.
Yeah. Thanks. My wife will agree with that.
Yes.
Hey guys, now listen. I yes, shortening the games. Now, Coach, Steve and Jake know this. I've been a season ticket holder since 1967.
That's outstanding.
I've seen the good times. Seen these rough times in the 21st century. We had the tickets since the early 50s. I remember when Coach Devaney got here, and even before then, when Pat Fisher was a quarterback, those games started. If my memory serves me right, the games at the university at that time started at 2:00 on a Saturday. And remember, the season didn't start back then in the early '60s and stuff till like September 10th, maybe something like that. They weren't as early as they are now, and you didn't have as many games. They were playing maybe, I think, 9 games regular season, 10, something like that. But those games, and no lights in Memorial Stadium, no North and South Stadium. Remember, it's just East and West. But those games, I always thought they got over. Now remember, that's a 2:00 start. When you're getting into the fall, it gets started pretty early. Those games got over in, like, to me, 2 hours and 45 minutes. There was plenty of time. Now, granted, no TV. It was just radio. You did not have. You had teams probably 80% of the time running the ball, which made the clock run. No instant replay or review of the calls. To review calls. Yes, these games, guys, are way too long. The biggest complaint, Steve, Jake, Coach, I get in the stands nowadays is the reviewing the calls. How long it takes. I mean, you hear a groan go through when they say the call is under further review. I mean, there's a groan that goes through the crowd.
I think the groan's only which side you're on. If the play went against you, then like that, then that's how it's going to go down. The groan's going to be, if you think the review is going to help you, it's a happy groan. They're not groaning. They're only groaning if all of a sudden something happens and they review it. Like you score a touchdown, then they're going to come back and review if you scored or not. That's where the groan comes.
Yes, now, Coach, I agree with you, but it still adds time onto the game, though.
Yeah.
And now listen, guys, psychologically speaking, when you're losing, like Nebraska has been, that'll add on to the game too. The games seem longer, but yes, something has to be done. I think a couple of NFL rules, like Steve, you guys were talking there, that don't stop the clock after first downs. With teams throwing the ball around, that extended the games. But they probably need to go shorter, guys. But it is what it is. We're in the 21st century of football here. So, but guys, listen, hey, it's a great hot subject, guys, and I want to hear more opinions on this. So I'm going to hang up and listen, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Jake, to review, so people know what we're talking about. With these rule changes, the clock would continue to run after an offense gains a first down, except for inside the final 2 minutes of each half.
However, I looked up the incomplete pass thing does not say anything about 2 minutes to go. That's the whole game.
Okay, that's the whole game.
No, I don't get that, because does that mean if you spike the ball, it's incomplete pass?
Absolutely.
So what we're talking
games,
the clock will continue to run after an incomplete pass once the ball is spotted for play. That is
throughout the whole game. We're talking about 2 minutes to go and everything.
Okay.
So the first down, you're right, that stops 2 minutes and to the rest of the game.
After
but incomplete pass, I don't see anything changing regarding
that's
the
trouble.
whole game.
That's trouble. Because if the ball is incomplete, out of bounds, goes to the wall, close to the stands, it takes a while to get it back.
Well, it'll come off the sideline. It'll come from the manager in that time like that. So they don't just use the same ball. So they don't just have one ball. Did you just don't come out there like, excuse me, where's the ball? That's why you see these managers walking. They look like these big ovens, basically. That's a wow. That one got me. And if you listen to me, I also said that it would come back from the sideline.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, well, we have one ball. Imagine that. So if it goes in the stands and some fan keeps it, everybody goes home. That's it.
You'd have to go get the ball from the fan.
Yeah, I had to get the ball from the fan.
We need the ball.
Everybody would go and give us the ball back.
Well, yeah, I got you.
The time during the Tom Osborne era was 1:30. Remember it well.
Was it 1:30?
Kickoff was 1.
Was it ever 1?
Well, it could be some different time, but 1:30 was the standard time. If you go back and say Nebraska, Iowa State, 1983.
You just knew.
It would be 1:30.
Yeah, Jake, you knew every kickoff time.
But I don't know when it changed to 2:30, but 2:30 became the next big slot. 11 a.m. 2:36.
The TV did it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these times that there was no TV slot, so you could just set it whenever you wanted to set it. And then
old timer would have to call in.
1:30 was the main time during that era stretch.
The era.
There's always some different times.
No, but I thought there was a standard 1 o'clock for a while. Not a different time.
1:30 was what I was.
I'm old as you are.
I'm going to 1:30.
Whose memory is better, Bill's or Sip's?
Well, I think it was both. I think there was a long period where it was 1, then it maybe moved to 1:30 for a period, but it was one of those.
I just feel like people are not talking about enough the incomplete passing. This blows my mind.
Why does it blow your mind?
Because that's a strategy to the end of the game of either spiking the ball or, hey, find something to stop the clock. If you get
now, you can't do it.
You can't just stop the clock. That's a part of football. It's always been a part of football.
Right.
You can't just. You're changing the end of games completely.
Yeah, so what's?
Why would you do that?
I don't think you have to stress that one too much.
Really?
I don't think
you can't spike the ball. You don't like that?
Don't even stress it. It won't happen.
That's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
It's a stupid proposal.
And that one's not going to happen.
You don't think that won't happen?
Of the four, that one's just
you think that one will not get passed?
I think the first down one will get passed, that the clock will not just be continuously running during that time. As a defensive coach, you're praying that the incomplete pass, the clock keeps running. You would love that.
But the offensive coaches are freaking out.
Oh, they're freaking out. Yeah,
it totally changes the way you approach the end of game.
This just changes how many snaps you're going to get when you're preparing defensively like that. It's much easier to roll wide receivers and different guys into the game like that. Defensively, a lot of times, it's much more of a strain for defense to have to play the number of snaps that they play than what the offense has to play. To be able a pass set is not near as strenuous as pass rush, as far as like the energy it takes to be a pass rusher. It's insane. Now, don't get me wrong; it's hard to protect. There's a lot of effort given out, but that's different. And now it is different for the O linemen now too. Like the tempo they do, they move a lot right now. They have to be able to run and get lined up and get set with all those different things. So
interesting.
Like I said, every rule change in the last 30 years has been to score more points.
So you don't think the one that would keep the clock running after an incomplete will go forward?
I would say no chance.
No shot.
No chance. I think it's got no shot.
It
changes
too many things.
Too much. It does.
That blows your mind.
Yeah, I can't even think why that'd be a thought for somebody.
Just to keep the clock going. Keep the clock
that
going.
Changes the entirety. These other ones, they don't change how the game goes completely. That changes things completely.
It does. It really does. Especially, wouldn't you say especially on offense?
What's the text line saying, Jay?
Well, number one, regarding what was the time of the games, 1:30.
Is it 1:30?
Everyone's saying 1:30.
It was 1 for a period, like in the 70s. I'm going back.
If you just throw a number out that might have hit one time, you can hit roulette one time. You can hit
one in like that when I was.
When do you think it changed?
80s.
And do you think it was 1:30 since the 70s, or do you?
Yeah, I do. 1:30 is the time. That's why everyone's texting in. And what do they say? 1:30. That's what it was. That's why, you know what I did? I worked there, so I was a graduate assistant, so I knew what time. Hey, when's the game? 1:30. My parents, when's the game?
I'm going to look. I will check on this
He's
later.
not giving up.
No,
I will check.
I can't speak. I wasn't alive. I wasn't around. I can't tell you.
I was in the 70s.
Keith, man, I know you're out there.
Yeah. Kent says in the 70s it may have been 1 p.m.
Yeah.
He says it may have been 1 p.m.
1 p.m. in the 70s. I'm going back to when I was a kid.
Yeah, you were in high school then, so you probably remember.
I wasn't.
Yeah, you were.
I was in junior high. I know. I was in grade school.
Having a rhubarb sandwich.
Grade school.
Yeah, from the random patch.
What else are you hearing from the people?
Drumstick agrees that there's no way they'll change the incomplete pass rule. That changes the game way too much.
Thank you, Drumstick.
Thank you, Drumstick.
What a great name, Drumstick.
That's not going.
I'd like to hang out with Drumstick. I'm telling you right now. Who's your buddy? That's Drumstick.
Makes me hungry. I'm really hungry. Don't let me eat that cake.
No, you need some more.
No,
right?
don't. Stop. Why do you do that?
You just said you're hungry.
Why do you do that?
You can't starve yourselves on the radio.
You're like the devil.
I'm not the devil. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you were like that.
I know this. Yesterday before 8:30, you had a giant piece of cake, 2 Reese's, and 2 cinnamon rolls.
I know. I did.
All before.
Trixie made.
How was the rest?
All before 8:30. I mean, just a sugar crunch. I mean, that's like
Did you nap after that?
That's like you injected it into your veins.
I couldn't stop eating cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, but I don't think that rule goes through. But defensively, boy, you like that. I think it all ties into the playoffs. I think it really does. I think there's a certain part of it that ties into it. Do you really need the clock to not be running when Alabama is playing McNeese on week 11? I mean, do you really need to have the clock stopped? Do you? I don't think so. We need to have things rolling and
McNeese
going.
probably says also run the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Run the clock. Let's get to start checking. Get out of here. It's fine.
Yeah. So there's
you got some people starting to say there was some 1 o'clock games. So I don't know what era we're talking about. It might be 70s, but
it was just in general.
Still,
the Tom Osborne era.
Argue about a half hour here.
Well, he has to be right. He has to be right.
Well,
but he's not. That's what.
No. See, just we'll get back to that.
Will we?
Yeah.
Can we not? Maybe.
Okay, we don't have to.
But back then, with no TV, there wasn't the 11 o'clock game.
Right. The point is, and we don't need to argue about this. The point is, you always knew when the game was going to start. Now, can't have everything the same. It was a better era, obviously, in this country in a lot of ways, and that was one of them.
It was just also back then, it was a big deal as if I was in elementary school, junior high, even through high school, all the way through. It was a big deal when Nebraska was on TV.
It was incredible.
It was like 2 or 3 times a year. Hey, is Oklahoma? Yes, that's on. Usually get a big game early, maybe a UCLA or something.
Meant
like
something, Jake's not going to understand this conversation at all. He's not.
To sit and listen to the radio was priceless. And if the game was on TV, it was like it was an event. Everyone got together.
There was a romanticism. You didn't know everything about everything. You just
but even in the 2000s, I mean, there were Nebraska games on pay-per-view. It wasn't just on ABC or Fox or FS1, but not FS1. It was FSN back then.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't matter. Every Big Ten team is on every game.
Yes,
like that. So if it's like, hey, what about Rutgers? Absolutely, it's on. It's on BTN at 11. It's on this at this time. They move them around. They might go 8 o'clock at night.
This is a thought that nobody agrees with and it probably doesn't understand. But I liked it when you didn't know everything about the team. I like that. I didn't need to know everything about everybody.
We're in information overload, right now.
You think?
That's not going to stop anytime soon.
No. I liked it better when there was a certain romanticism to it. You're like, oh, that's what Doug DeBose looks like. You see a rare moment when he has his helmet off. Oh, wow. Look at Jarvis Red Wine. Bigger than I thought.
Red Wine, number 12.
Bigger than I thought.
I liked knowing that at least I grew up in an era where I actually laid on the floor and listened to the game on the radio.
Yes.
And just listen to Lyle Bremser.
Yeah. With your dad, probably.
Oh, absolutely. And everyone's listening. Yeah. It would be like, it would go down in Pender. Everyone, like my grandparents and stuff, all morning was spent going up to the different local places and usually bars.
Jake doesn't want to hear this stuff, but it's way better.
It's way better.
I'm not denying that. I told you, life sounds better back then.
We put the big radio out on the patio.
Yeah. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
it sounds beautiful.
And you'd go to my grandparents would go to the bars at each bar they go to because they got their numbers. Because there was always a numbers board like that. So at end of each quarter, what the score was like that was a big deal too. And everyone's listening. The radio was on. It was a full day.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was better. I'm just gonna say it's better.
Yeah, radio was better. I doubt we're gonna bring that back. That'll be a tough one.
Yeah,
tough. That is not happening. Hey, we're gonna go this year. We're going all radio. This live,
100%.
No TV. That'd be outstanding.
Just close your eyes and envision it.
Imagine Sip doing play-by-play. I think it's second down. Is it third? What down is
Stop.
Where's the ball? 7. Where's the ball? Who has the ball?
Who threw that?
Who has that? Is the clock still running?
Stop it.